Stuart Barnes, I'm so bloody glad that we didn't put you in a rubbish bag. But here's the things about this guy. Look at him. Who would ever think that love and affection and respect would ooze from that guy? But it did. It's reflected here today with his devotion and what have you.
The rubbish truck turned up just as we were going to load him on the truck.
I'd like to ask, is there anybody else who would like to say something? Don't be shy. Just come and stand on the line. You've got a little bit of time. I won't chuck a bucket of water over you if you take too long.
When I knew Stuart, he came and drove for me, and Amber, when she was like this, with those curly hairs, just like that little one there, it was obviously your daughter, Amber. She was a beautiful little kid, and Stu was so proud of this little girl. And they were all so happy. They met in Foxton, and my depot is at Ringyoto on Reed's Transport, Road, sorry. But today is about Stu, and I'll tell you, he was a guy that no one will forget. He was a proud father. He loved Amber. Amber used to go in that truck hour after hour with Stu, and Stu just couldn't wait to lift Amber up in there and take her. That was Stu's truck. That was my truck. Then it was Stu's truck. And funny enough, when I pulled up here, I saw Stu's niece.
Yep.
Niece. And I said to her, I said, is this Stu's friend? I drove up today. And she said, oh, yes, this is the place. I thought, I guess good, I've made it in time. And she had this in her hand. And I said to her, I said, look what I've got here in my iPad. And I showed her the same photo of that truck, him standing on a forklift polishing the horns. Now I looked for lots of photos of Stu as soon as I got that phone call, and I shed a tear. I really did, because this man and I used to travel together on the road. He had a Mac and I had the Kenworth, and we just helped each other all the way on our trips. Trip after trip, I might add. And no logbooks in those days. So, end of the day, I was talking to Stu within the month when he was down there at Blue Bridge. And he mentioned all his family again, his mum, and I've never met his mum. And I've always heard all about his mum because Stu used to live with us when he worked with us. He was in a little office, and he used to come in home, our table, have his breakfast, have his dinner, whatever, and he would be building his moulders. And he had that big motorbike out there that he could hardly reach the handlebars because there was a big tank there, and there was also Stu was always a big person, but he could do the job. He never failed at a job. And I said to him when I heard about that, I said, I tell you what, he would have never gone to sleep, I guarantee. He knew when he had to stop, and that's the difference between truck drivers today and truck drivers of yesterday. They knew the hard yards. We used to load up by hand. We would load 22 tonne of spuds on that truck by hand in a pack. And there it was. Then drive to Auckland, tarp it up. That photo of that truck there, there's a load of veggies on that truck. And I guarantee you, it's all hand stacked on pallets. That was the life then, and then we had to spend 2 hours covering it, and then we headed to Auckland. No logbooks again. And we just knew when we had to stop, and we'd sleep on the steering wheel for a quarter of an hour, and away we go. And he was hard to beat. He was hard to keep up with. He was one of those guys, always got there on time. I smiled when I heard about it's a hard job to keep to times. Stu has had that all through his driving career, right through with times. Market. We used to go to the markets, Chinners and Growers, 4 o'clock in the morning, go all day and night. And that's what Stu did. So he was so used to keeping times. He was very good at it. And I'm probably very blessed to have had Stu for probably 10 years. And to know little Amber, because she really was a special girl to Stu. And his mum. We talked about his mum within the month. I saw him the last time at Bluebridge. I went down to pick up a trailer from Bluebridge, and here's Stu's truck. I thought, oh, he pulled right beside his truck, turned it off quick because he'd be sleeping. I waited, the cab was moving, Stu's up and said, Jay, how are you? I was great. We sat in the truck, and we sat there until it got dark actually, just yarning. And he was saying, you know, he says, I just love doing what I do. I love going to Christchurch. He said, I've got my world in a perfect place. He's got his mum in Christchurch he stays with. He's got his house in Auckland. And he was describing how his life was perfect. And he loved his job. He loved being a truck driver. And my thoughts are all with the family today. And it is a very sad day to see 392 sitting there like this. But I tell you, I've got lots of memories of Stu, and I could tell you lots of stories. I'll tell you one quickly. We didn't have logbooks when we were going. There was hardly any truck stops when we were going. So that's how it was. It was a very lonely place. He's a pioneer of line hauling, because we were a pioneer of line hauling. We were only probably RFL, Modern Freighters, Reed's Transport, Nimmons over in, that was all there were doing line haul, because the rail restriction stopped trucks from doing it. But we had a licence to cut fresh veggies, and it was a perishable goods, and we were allowed to be on the road. So Stewie is a pioneer of line hauling. That's how long Stewie's been doing this. It's not just a 5-minute job for Stu, and he did have a break when he worked on the farm. And a well-deserved break that was too. But then he's come back to his love again. And I am just so proud to have known this man and worked beside this man when we were young fellas. And in fact, about 2 or 3 years ago, I got pulled up by the God Squad, Stewie. And they were talking about us, and this guy was on the weighbridge, and he had 2 or 3 little cadets with him that he was training. So anyway, I got a ticket, and I was overloaded on a triaxle, so that's fine. Anyway, the guy said, you're Ray Reid, aren't you? And I said, yes, I am. He said, I remember following you around when you were a young fella, and I was a young fella. And I said, no, you never did. You never did. He says, I am Stuart Barnes and a couple of other guys. And I says, no, you would have never followed us. And he said, well, I'm telling you, I did. And these other guys then were starting to take notice of the conversation. And I said, I looked at him straight and I said, do you know what, mate? You wouldn't be standing here now if you followed us, because you would have gone to sleep behind the wheel. And that was it. So I'll tell you, there's lots of stories there. Lots and lots of stories. And I'm sure other people will have lots of stories too. But Stuart, you're at rest now. Save us a spot up there on the highway too, because we'll be up there too one day, and I do look forward to seeing you again. And I'm very sorry for the family's loss. Right.
Thank you very much. Right.